Hey all, I'm Apurva and welcome back to WeDesified. Did you ever hear people saying their visa interview lasted only less than a minute or maximum 2 minutes? In fact, my own visa interview lasted less than 2 minutes. Now, how do you think visa officers can come to a decision within 1 to 2 minutes of talking to you? Because, believe it or not, visa officers come to a conclusion about your visa even before they meet you at the interview. On the interview day, they just verify if their conclusion is right and there are no missing links before they tell you their decision. How do they come to that conclusion? And where do they get all that information about you? They have multiple sources, but the major source is your DS-160 form that you fill online. So your chance of getting the US visa is in your hands, and today we are going to tell you how to do that successfully by helping you fill your DS-160 correctly. So let's get to it. But before that, if you find our content helpful, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your every like, comment and subscription really motivates us to keep making these useful videos. So subscribe to our channel and press that bell icon right now. I hope you're following our Study in the USA series and watched our videos about getting your I-20, deciding which college to go to, and paying service fee. So one of the next steps before your visa interview is filling the form DS-160. DS-160 is an online form that you need to fill while applying for a non-immigrant US visa. So if you're applying for a student visa or a work visa or a visitor's visa, you need to fill this DS-160 form. It is very important to pay close attention to this form and provide accurate information because, like we said earlier, your chances of getting US visa highly depends on this form and you should not make any mistakes. That is why we will walk you through the entire form today and show how to fill it correctly. Now, what do you need to fill this form? Your passport, the I-20 of the college you want to attend, and if you are a working professional, your updated resume. So grab them quickly and we will go through this form together. Most of this form is same for the F, H and B visa types. So for this video, we will show you like you are filling as a student. And if you are filling for a different visa type, then you can still watch this video as most parts are the same, but we will also make a separate video for those categories in the future. Alright, let's start filling the DS-160 form together. Now to fill this form, you can simply type DS-160 on Google. And the first result what you will get is the link to your DS-160 application. So over here we have to first select the location. So because I'm from Mumbai, I'm going to select India, Mumbai. And then we have to write this CAPTCHA code. And then click on Start an Application. Now make sure that you carefully read the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act notices, and after reading, click on I agree. Now down here you can see your application ID and the security question. So you can select any question out of these options, whatever is convenient to you, and then write an answer for that. So for now I'm just going to write XYZ. So make sure that you have written your application ID and security question somewhere, because you might get logged out of the session, or sometimes you want to stop in the middle and come back to the application later on. Then it is very helpful to have the application ID and security question, because with these two information you can retrieve your application. So you can basically continue from wherever you left. So just note it down somewhere, or you can save it as a PDF also. So after this I'm gonna click on continue, and here we have our personal information section 1. Now here you can see we have the fields called as surnames and given names. Now in passport we have the exact same fields, that is surname and given name. So you can exactly write the details from your passport, whatever is there, into these fields. And if you have any questions, then you can always refer to the help section here on the right. This section is really very helpful. If you have just one name on your passport, then you can write it as your surname, and then in the given name field you can just write FNU. Now FNU stands for first name unknown. Now, because I cannot disclose my personal information, we need some kind of a dummy person details. So yesterday I watched Gangubai in theaters. So Alia Bhatt is on my mind right now. So I think I'm going to use her details to fill this DS 160 today. And I hope that she will be very glad to be featured on our channel. So thank you so much, Alia. So surname, I'm going to write Bhatt. And given name, I'm going to write Alia. Now, Indians do not have this full name in native alphabet, so I'm going to click on does not apply. But if you're from a country where you do have this field, then please complete it. As we go down, over here we have a field which is asking if you had basically any other legal name than what is there on your passport. So this might be applicable to the women who have changed their names after marriage, or if you happen to have any legal document wherein you have a name written on that legal document which is different than the name on your passport, then you should definitely click on yes and then mention that name. But if you have any pet name or any other names your friends calling you with, just ignore it, okay? You don't have to worry about that. You can just click on no. So I'm going to click on no. Now Indians do not have any telecode, so again I'm going to click on no. Sex is female. Marital status single. I really do not know the date of birth of Alia Bhatt, so I think she was born somewhere March 1993. So date I'm just going to ballpark. Let's say 11th and March and year 1993. City is going to be Mumbai. State Maharashtra. And country is India. All right. Now I'm going to click on this save button, because many times it might happen that the application just logs you out, and you don't want to lose any information which you have already filled. So just click on the save button as you proceed. You just can click that button on every page, so that whatever information you have filled so far stays saved, and you can just continue your application from that page onwards. So I'll click on continue application, and that will take us to our next section, which is personal information 2. In this personal information section 2, we have some fields about nationality. So I'm going to write India. Do you hold any other nationality other than? So I do not. I mean, Alia Bhatt doesn't. And then again, no. Now this national identification number, you might get confused with the Aadhaar card number, but this is not same as Aadhaar card number, okay? So do not write anything in this, because Indians do not have national identification number. So I'm going to click on does not apply. Similarly, you might not be having this US Social Security number or the US taxpayer ID number, but if you happen to be in US already and applying for visa extension or for change of visa, then you might be having these details, or if you're on H1 or something, you might be having these details. So accordingly, select these options. Again, you can just click on save and then move on to the next section, which is travel information. Now for the purpose of the trip to the US, you can select from these options whichever is applicable to you, but because we are filling the form as students, we will select the F option, that is the academic or language student, and then we will specify the category. So for us it's going to be F1. The next question is about specific travel plans. Now if you are applying for F1 or H1B visa, then you will be getting the visa strictly on the basis of the details you provide and how your interview goes. And also you will be applying for these visas well in advance, right? Maybe 2 or 3 months in advance. So it is much possible that you won't be having any specific travel plans by the time you will be filling this DS-160 form. So it is highly suggested to click on the option no, But if in case you are going to US for like a conference or on a business trip, then it is most likely that you will have a specific travel plan. So in that case, you can choose the option yes and provide those details. But because we are filling this form as a student, I'm going to select the option no. For intended date of arrival, you can put in the date which is 1 to 2 weeks prior to your program start date or your job start date. This program start date you can easily find on your I-20, and then you can just ballpark it from there. For the intended length of stay, you can again refer to your I-20 and look into the field called as duration of your program and basically write that information. And in case of H-1B, you can refer to the form 797. For this address, if you do not have your accommodation finalized, then you can write your college address, which again will be mentioned on your I-20. And then the person or the entity paying for your trip, you can select whatever is applicable to you. I'm going to select self and then continue. Now for the travel companions information, if you have any dependents traveling with you, then definitely write that information. But if you have any of your friends traveling with you, then you are not required to really write about it. So I'm gonna select the option no. And again, make sure that you are clicking on the save button with every page so that you have the information saved. And then we'll move on to our next section, which is the previous US travel information. So have you ever been in US? Have you ever been issued a US visa? So for these questions, again select whatever is applicable to you. If you happen to say yes to any of these, then there might be a follow-up question. So just answer that honestly and be as truthful as possible. So for this application, I think I'm going to select no for everything. And then click on next, which is the address and phone information section. For the home address, you have to again refer to your passport and write the exact same information what you have on your passport. Now for this mailing address, if your mailing address is same as your passport address, which I have mentioned as your home address above, then you will select the option yes. But if you're staying at some other address which is not matching with your passport, then you can select no and then mention about that address as well. Moving on, we have information regarding the phone number. And if you have any secondary phone number or work phone number, then you can write that information. I'm just going to say it does not apply for now. And then have you ever used any other number in the last 5 years? Make sure you honestly give all these details. Now for email address, make sure you give a working email address. So I'm gonna write aliabhatt@gmail.com. And if you have used any other email addresses in the last 5 years, make sure to mention about that as well. For social media question, you can select all the apps you're using currently. You don't really have to mention about those apps or accounts which are inactive. So be as truthful as possible and select all the applications you're using currently. So I'm going to select YouTube, and then it will ask me for my social media identifier. So that is basically my username. So I'm going to write Alia Bhatt. And if there is any other application you are using which is not mentioned in these options above, then you can click on yes for the next question and then mention about that app. But because I do not have anything, I'm going to select no. And then I'll move on to the next section, which is passport. For the passport or the travel document type, you can select regular, or if there is any other option applicable to you, then you can select that. But most of us have the regular passport, so you can select regular. Then you can write the passport travel document number, which is basically written on your passport. So I'm going to write that. Moving on, Indians do not have the passport book number, so you can select does not apply. But if you're from any other country than India, and if you have the passport book number, then please fill this field. Then write about the country that has issued your passport. Again, this information you will find on your passport. Which city the passport was issued, the state, the country, everything, all this information will be there on your passport. So just make sure that is exactly matching. The issuance date and the expiration date, again, both these things will be mentioned on your passport. And then lastly, we have this question in the section, which is, have you ever lost a passport or had one stolen? So you can select no, but if such a thing has happened to you, then make sure you select the option yes and then give out that information. So I'm going to select no, and we will move on to the next section, which is the US point of contact information. For this, your US point of contact can be any individual in the US who knows you and can verify, if necessary, your identity. So if you're a student, then you can write the contact person's information, which is basically mentioned on your I-20. If you're applying for the H-1B visa, then you can write the information of your HR. Or if you are going on a visitor's visa, then you can write the information of your relative who is staying in the US. And then for the organization name, again, you can write your school name or your company name, depending upon the type of visa you're applying for. And then select the relationship to you, so the relationship of that contact person with you. So I'm going to select school official, and that will take me to the address and phone number of that point of contact. Again, for the students, you will find this information on your I-20, and for the H-1B people, you can find it whatever the address basically of your company. And I'll click on to the next section, which is the family information. So here we have to provide information about our father and mother. So make sure you write these details correctly. So the next question is asking about if you have any immediate relatives in the US, not including your parents, which is your siblings. So if you have any siblings in the US, you can select the option yes. If no, then you can select the option no. And the follow-up question is if you have any other relatives in the US. So again, if you do not have your immediate relatives like your parents or your siblings, then you don't really have to select the option yes here. Like if you have any cousins or the distant relatives, then the visa officers are not really going to get that information or know about it. So I would advise to select the option no. And then move on to the next section. For the primary occupation, you can select whatever is applicable to you in these given options. So I'm going to select student, and that will take me to another set of questions. So it is asking about the present employer or the school name. So if you are a working professional, then you can write those like the information about your company you're currently working in, or if you're a student, then you can write your current school information. So this start date is basically whatever program you are studying currently, or if you are working professional, then what date did you start working in that company. And then it is asking about monthly income. If you're a student, you really don't have to answer this, assuming you won't be really earning anything. But if you're earning and if you are a working professional, then you can write this information. So I'm going to select does not apply. For the next field, which is duties, if you're a working professional, then you can write the information from your resume, or if you're a student, then you can simply write that you're a student pursuing so and so degree. So I'm going to write student pursuing master's degree in economics, and then we'll move on to our next section. Now it is asking if you were previously employed. So if you are a working professional, then you can select the option accordingly based on your resume. So again, refer to your resume. I'm going to select no. And then for the next question, it is asking if you have attended any educational institutions at a secondary level or above. So if you have attended high school or any level above, then you can mention about all those information. So I'm going to select yes, and then this will take me to additional set of questions. This is basically the information of the school, and if there is any other additional information you want to add to this, you can select the option add another. So you can add another degree or any other program which you have done. Now this section is basically any additional work, education or any training information. So first question is about if you belong to a clan or a tribe. So I'm going to say no. Then it is asking about the languages you speak. So list all the languages you speak. So I speak English. Then you can add another language. So I know Hindi as well and Marathi. Again, you can keep adding any other languages, you know. Then moving on, have you traveled to any other countries or regions within the last 5 years? So I'm going to select no. Make sure you read all the following questions very carefully and then select whatever is applicable. I'm going to select no for all these questions and then click on next, which is the security and background part 1. The first question is about if you have a communicable disease of public health significance. So I'm going to select no. Then it is asking about mental or physical disorder, or if you have ever been a drug abuser or an addict. So just make sure that you read all these questions carefully and answer them honestly. So I'm going to say no to all these and then move on to part 2. And then click on next. And move on to the security and background part 4. Again, you know, same questions. Make sure you're reading each one of them and not just marking no without reading anything. So make sure you read each and every question carefully. And then in part 5, we have another set of questions. And then we have a section about any additional point of contact information. In this section, they want you to provide information of 2 point of contacts from your home country. So that is in India for our case. So make sure that the so-called point of contacts are not your immediate family members, like not your siblings as such. It can be any of your friend or a distant relative. So fill in these details. And then once you are done filling this 2 point of contacts, you can then move on to the next section, which is the service. For the service information, you have to provide the service ID and your school information, which you will get from your I-20, and then move on to the next review. So over here, as you can see, this is just all the information which we have just filled. So just verify all the information is correct, and if you want to change any information, then you can just click on edit and then change the information there. So again, make sure everything is correct and then you can save it and move on to the next section, which is the travel information. Make sure everything is correct here. Save or edit as applicable. Here are a bunch of security questions we just answered. Then information about service, location, make sure this location is correct, and then finally we will move on to the sign and submit section. Make sure you read everything very carefully, and Then there is a question about did anyone assist you in filling out this application? So again, choose whatever is applicable to you, but if you're applying for F1 or H1B visa, then we would suggest to select the option no, because you are applying on your behalf. So I'm going to select no. And then for e-signature, you can simply enter your passport number and then enter the CAPTCHA code on the right, and then click the sign and submit application button. We have now successfully signed and submitted the application, and after this is done, we will move on to the confirmation section. So this is the confirmation page. There is no need to take screenshot or anything like that. You can simply print the confirmation and save it as a PDF. You can also email the confirmation page to your email address and read all these instructions about what you all need to bring to your visa appointment and all these instructions very carefully. Once you submit this application, it stays in your database for 30 days. So you can retrieve this application and print the confirmation. So that's all we have for today. Hope this helps you with filling your DS-160. I know we talked mostly about students in this video, but if you want us to make a video focusing on H1B or visitor's visa, then let us know. To make this video simple and straight to the point, we weren't able to cover everything we wanted to say about the DS-160. And so in the next video, we are going to talk about the FAQs on how to fill certain fields on the DS-160, most common mistakes people do, and how to correct them. So stay tuned and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions, then you can ask us in the comment section below. We will reply and make more videos answering all your questions. See you in the next video. Until then, keep learning. Bye-bye.